Actually, my kids are fairly conservative. As a parent, you want them to be safe, but you want them to enjoy what they're doing, and you don't want to limit them. I feel like that they are making good choices, so then I'm not worried about their safety.
Extreme sports. Why on earth would someone risk their life for a shot of adrenaline or a rush or a thrill? I talk to people who participate in these extreme activities and their loved ones to see if we could get to the bottom of this and to see what their point of view is.
I am Sam Bodden. I work for Cardiff Snowcraft. I've been snowboarding for 13 years now. I would say I'm pretty much an expert.
What's up? I'm Eric. I like to snowboard and I like to dirt bike. I'd say with snowboarding, I'm intermediate. Dirt bike, I'm a beginner.
I'm Sydney. I'm Eric's wife, and I'm also a skier.
My name is Sylvia Greer. I grew up in Park City, Utah. They call it ultra running but the distances that I do are 100 miles up to, I've done 330 miles. These are mountain races, but I've also done adventure racing, which is a combination of sports together. So I've done one on the island of Fiji, and it had rafting and paddleboarding, climbing, rappelling, skin diving, mountain biking.
I'm Olivia, and I'm an amateur intermediate skier.
Tanner Gold, 200 pounds, 5'11". Well, I like to ride dirt bikes. I used to race supermoto. I snowboard, done some car racing. I'd say I'm above average, but not like professional level.
To just test the waters and see what kind of attitudes they had, I first asked them and their loved ones if they feel like they spend too much time or money on their activity.
I try to go at least once a week, but if I can go twice, I usually go twice a week.
Buying a dirt bike's expensive. Snowboarding a decent bit as well. Dirt biking more, but that's just because dirt bikes are more expensive than snowboards. So
I was on the mountain at least 3 times a week when I was a kid, but now it's a little bit busier, so I probably only get up there like once a week, if that. And money-wise, I already have all the gear, so it's kind of, I was lucky enough that my dad bought the gear for me when I was a kid, but my ski passes are always pretty pricey every season.
I think it's a little expensive, but I think in his case, it's kind of critical because it's really good for him as far as, activity, social. I think it's a positive, so I think it's worth the investment.
I think it's important that he balanced these things into the other things, responsibilities he has. When I was in school, I worked pretty much full time, and my dad wondered what was wrong with me, if I was ever going to go on a date.
Not as much now since I had a kid and since getting married and everything. It used to be, I'd say probably like 5 or 6 hours a week. Now I would say it's probably about that a month. I try to be pretty frugal. I have a used motorcycle that I paid cash for, so it's really just maintenance cost, a few $100 a year, probably for each of the hobbies.
He would love to be doing it more. I appreciate him being home.
Do you think he spends too much money on dirt bikes?
Yeah, gear, yes.
Okay.
And then traveling to wherever he's going, yes.
On these sports, no, I don't think they're too extreme on those. I think they're doing a pretty good job.
So not too much time snowboarding, dirt biking?
No, I think it's a good balance. It seems like they spend the money once a year at the very beginning of the year, get their equipment, so there's not a lot of continual spending on it. They're pretty wise with that.
They both have a great balance, work-life balance, yeah. I'm not 100% sure how much money they do spend. I haven't seen extreme spending, like in gear or things like that?
No, not too much time. It takes lots of time, but she loves it. So
I mean,
why not?
That's hard to answer from my perspective because it's obviously worth it to her.
It seems like most people don't really have a problem with the amount of time or money that they are spending on their activity. So let's ask a few more questions to dig a little deeper to see if we can find their level of perceived risk. On a scale from 1 to 10, how hard would you say you push yourself?
Probably like a 7.
So being older, when I picked him up, I'm not as risky sometimes when it comes to doing things in those.
Do you feel like he takes risks?
Not at all. I think he's pretty cautious.
Before I had a kid, I would say probably like an 8. Now I would say probably like a 5 or a 6. I don't push myself nearly as hard. The worst injury was definitely my crash doing the supermoto racing. I was going probably 40 miles per hour-ish, and I collided with another rider, broke my collarbone in 3 places, bruised a bunch of ribs, separated my shoulder, tons of road rash, just all on my right side, basically bruised lungs. No concussion though on that one.
He was doing a great job. We were scared to death watching him, and he was great, but there was an accident and he did break his collarbone, and that's nothing you want to see as a parent. You don't want to see those types of things.
All in all, to get back to like feeling 100%, it was probably a year, but I was back riding dirt bikes again 2 months later, 3 months later.
I trust him enough that I know that he's not going to do anything crazy or put himself into danger.
I feel like they are making good choices, so then I'm not worried about their safety and what they're doing. So to the extremeness that they go, I don't feel like they're going as extreme as I've seen some people.
So you'd say that they're not displaying as much risk and it's a lot more calculated?
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
I push myself really hard, actually. I have had shingles 7 times. I thought that was just an old person thing. I've ended up in the hospital with near kidney failure. I'm pretty stubborn. If I set out to do something, especially if I'm with a team, I don't want to let my team down. With these adventure races, if one of your team members drops, then the whole team has to drop. So I don't want to be the weak link. So there will be 4 people and one of the team members has to be a female. And so I already going into this race feel like the weaker link, just gender wise. We did 600 miles and that course took us 11 days. Day 4, I had a really bad bike crash and I blew out my knee. We had KT tape, so I put like some bamboo on the side of my legs and we wrapped it with KT tape. And I continued on because I didn't want to be the reason why my team had to leave Fiji and not finish the race. So I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to finishing something, and I've gotten in trouble by my family as well as the doctor saying that you can stop, but I try really hard not to.
So your desire to finish what you started overcomes your sense of self-preservation?
Absolutely. Yes, and my family, they sometimes support me going into these races and sometimes they are quite concerned.
Do you think she pushes herself too hard?
Yeah, I do. I think she has a high expectation of herself.
I think sometimes
Doesn't
she
want to
has,
disappoint herself.
and she's been injured because of it.
I think I push myself really hard. I think that I've grown up around people that push me, but also I think I've seen an example from my mom. She never gives up. And so when I do sports, I never give up either. It's been the same in any sport that I do, in soccer, basketball, skiing, running. I don't want to give up because it's a competition with myself of how good I can get. So last year, actually, on the second day of the season, I blew out my whole knee. So I tore my ACL and my MCL and my meniscus. I'm still recovering. So that was a year ago tomorrow. And I am still in the process, I feel like. I tore it in December. I had surgery in January, and then from January to about May, I was in physical therapy at least once a week. My first thought was I didn't hear a pop, so it's not my ACL, and I'm fine. And then I was just mad because I was worried that it was going to delay my ski season. So I didn't even really think about my injury. I just thought about how I wasn't going to be able to ski, which is like what I look forward to all year. And even after they told me I tore my ACL, I was still trying to figure out a way to ski at the end of the season. I was like, if I work really hard, I'll be able to do it. I saw other people get hurt, but I never thought it would happen to me. I always felt like I'm invincible and I can make it through, and if I'm safe, then it'll work. But it's just scary. People get hurt all the time.
I would say I push myself pretty hard. Pretty much every single time I go to the mountain, I'm trying to learn something new.
What was your worst injury that you've gotten from snowboarding?
I landed pretty flat, and I ended up tearing my ACL due to hyperextension. It took like a full 6 to 9 months of like full recovery, where I wasn't feeling it in my knee.
One thing that's very interesting is that even though these athletes know that there's risks involved, they get injured, they know that it's dangerous, their first thought after an injury is not, am I okay? But rather, how long is this going to delay me until the next time I can go out and do this activity? In the case of Olivia, her first thought was, I hope I can still ski after this. It wasn't, I hope my knee is okay. And with Tanner, he was back dirt biking just 2 months later. So they obviously know that these risks exist and that the consequences are very real. So why do they continue to do these risky behaviors? Why do they continue to push themselves as hard as they do? I asked them a few different questions to see if we can gauge their level of perceived benefits, to see how they can justify taking these big risks.
Just be forgiving and always get up and try again.
How would you say that keeping that positive mindset with snowboarding has affected you or helped you in other aspects of your life?
It's also helped me reflect, okay, this is where I've done really well at. Because of this and where I am now in this, I can be better in these other areas. It almost gives you that hope, if that makes sense, to like conquer unconquered territory. Going into that season, I just wasn't really afraid because I'd seen success. I knew I was capable of it.
Yeah, so rather seeing it as somewhere that you could fail, you saw it as something to be conquered.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing your friends get injured from these sports, does that make you less likely to participate in them?
It doesn't at all. You just evaluate what happened and learn from it. It's definitely provided me opportunity to spend time with people, make connections I normally wouldn't have, and it definitely lightens the mood, gives me more drive. Definitely the social aspect is a big part of it for me. And initially, like, I didn't have a lot of confidence to go up by myself, but then as I started to get more experience, it wasn't just the social aspect for me, but it was also being able to go up and challenge myself.
Do you think having those other people there kind of showing you what to do takes away a lot of the risk from it?
It does. It depends kind of on my mindset going into it, because sometimes I can be a little hard on myself and maybe feel self-conscious because of my inexperience, but then recognizing that's not how people view me in my inexperience, and that they're more than happy to help me out and have me succeed. That carries over into my real life, like my professional life. It helps me recognize that as I try to push myself, like even if I fail, like I'm not going to be looked down upon.
So overall, you're fine with his participation because it's not, there's more risky ways to go about it.
Absolutely.
And he's not super risky person, as we talked to him about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you just trust that. And since you can see how happy it makes him, it's worth whatever risks there are.
Absolutely.
So overall, you feel pretty positive about the sports and activities that he participates in?
I do, as long as he's cautious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he's out there just for the enjoyment, the release, and I think that's all really healthy.
I mean, there's risk everywhere you go. As careful as you are, stuff happens. I don't have a problem with it. a pretty smart kid.
Have you seen any positive benefits from him participating in these activities?
He's been able to budget his money to afford it, budget his time. These are things that are worthwhile, and teaches them some skills and brings them some enjoyment. Be a more well-rounded person.
So overall, you'd say the benefits that come from these activities
outweigh the risk.
Basically, my best release that I have, and like my biggest stress reliever, is when I do the extreme activities. The times in my life that I wasn't doing them as much, I was way less happy than when I am doing it. I deal with a lot of anxiety and a lot of overthinking about things, and when I'm going very fast, I get to a point where I can't think anymore. I don't have time to think, and so you have to just react. And when you get to that point, it just silences my brain. And so to sit in that moment just a little bit, it's a sense of relief almost. You are purely living in the moment because you don't have time to think about the past. You don't have time to think about the future. So I believe that it is like a kind of a form of meditation. And then when you get done doing something hard as well, it kind of puts things in perspective of like, oh, this person that was frustrated with me at work, it's not that big of a deal because I just did something way more difficult and I survived. So like this uncomfortable conversation is nothing compared to something difficult that I did before.
Imagine your kids doing these activities. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I want them to do it 100% because I think it builds so much confidence, and it's such good skills to learn just to be like active and to know like how to fall properly and not hurt yourself. And so that just translates so well into like everyday life and just them playing in sports and different things like that.
I feel like if you take it to a certain point, you just have to expect that you are going to be breaking bones and getting really injured. It's going to take months, if not a year, to recover. I don't like taking things to that point. We've got lives to live, go to school, got to work, got to have family. We're not professionals in this sense, so we don't need to be taking those types of risks for our lives.
If I could choose, I would not have them participate in them. It stresses me out. I don't know. As a mom, my mind always goes to the worst case scenario. And I do feel like one advantage of riding a dirt bike, especially, well, and even with snowboarding, you learn to follow your line. You learn to look ahead, and you see obstacles and you follow your line. And I think that's a real advantage when it comes to the real world and driving especially. I do think it has really helped in other aspects of their lives, yeah.
Do you think eventually you're going to go back to the same level of risk taking?
Yeah, I will, because I want to get better, and I love going fast. I don't regret getting hurt because I was doing something that I love, and I know that it won't stop me, and I know I can keep going. I think it gives me something to look forward to a lot, and I think it also it gave me a lot of confidence, and it gives me an outlet. So like, it's kind of a stress relief. Like when you're going super fast down a mountain, just all your worries go away, and that's all you're focused on. It gives me time to spend with my friends and my family, and it also just helps me stay healthy because you have to be active and fit to be able to do that stuff.
Although there's risks, and you know of the risks, what pushes you to want to keep doing these?
There's something that is so overwhelming and humbling and so satisfying about starting something that you really don't know if it's going to be possible for you to finish. And then when you do finish it, there's something about that. It's just so fulfilling. It's addicting. I've had so much growth as a person. My confidence has grown, but I also love to be able to show other people, especially my kids and my family, that life is hard thing and you can push through anything. Your mind is so much stronger than most people give themselves credit for. It's given me this stepping stone to this confidence and and has enabled me to travel around the world and to overcome different trials in my life, and has just made me a stronger person in general. And I've met incredible people, I've made incredible friendships, and truly has given me a platform to push myself more than I've ever been able to push myself.
I am proud of her and excited for her, and I wish she would get sponsored and paid.
There are a lot of great takeaways from the answers that these people had. Most of them seem to agree that although there are risks, the benefits far outweigh them. I like how Tom said that there's risks everywhere. You really can't avoid risk, but there's also benefits everywhere. Pushing yourself, trying something new, or accomplishing difficult things gives us power and confidence, just like what Sylvia was saying. Doing hard things can encourage us to stay strong in the future, and I love how Sylvia said, we're a lot stronger than we think we are. Our minds have a lot more capability than we think they do. Is there a risk in your life that you could benefit from taking? Is there something holding you back? Maybe it's asking for a promotion. Maybe it's asking someone out. Maybe it's standing up for something you believe in. All of these things can be scary at first, but there are real benefits to taking risks, and we may not know them until after we take the risk. Will you take the risk?